south as you can go. Mississippi, what a wonderful state this could be. We have all of the natural resources. We are positioned on the earth in the right spot. The weather is great. You know, we have less than 3 million people in the entire state. You know, as I often say, the last time I was in Chicago, I was as nervous as I could be because there was always somebody in my face. There were more than 6 million people in the city, and I'm coming from a state where I can go from days and days and not see anybody. This is a great place for farming. This is a great place for agriculture, for fishing, and this is really a wonderful retirement community. We just don't have the smoke and the smog that they got out on the West Coast. We don't have all of the freezing weather that they got on the East Coast. You know, we are right where we need to be. Jackson, Mississippi, where I-20 and I-55 intersects. All traffic going north and south, all traffic going east and west have to intersect right here in Jackson, Mississippi. So yes, we should be one of the largest transportation hubs in the world. And don't let me forget to mention that we have the port in Vicksburg right off of the Mississippi River. So imagine that. Imagine how powerful and how influential we should be as a state. How important it is to have a port right there in Vicksburg, Mississippi. You know, many of the reasons that we have international wars is because they don't have access to the rivers and to the sea, to the ocean. That's one of the problems that they're having in Russia. They're landlocked. They got no way out to get to a port. And so consequently, you'll have all kinds of struggles and fights like going on in Ukraine and other places, primarily because they want access to the harvest and to the water. It's just so important that you have access to that. Even the beginning, the cradle of civilization had to begin on the banks of the Nile. And for those of you that don't know where that is, it's in the cradle of Africa. Africa, the continent where it all began. All mankind emanates from Africa. And if Adam and Eve were the first two people created by God, then everyone else is a descendant. Think about that for a minute and wonder how that makes us all related. I guess we're all cousins. I don't know how far you would have to go to declare what number you are, whether you are 2,000 cousin or 2001 cousin. I don't know. But if it goes back to Adam and Eve, then we're all related. Now we just got to learn how to act like that. And that's not easy because it's not easy for families to get along. It's not easy for brothers and sisters to get along. Let's think about it. In the very beginning, there were only two brothers on the face of the planet. And Abe killed his brother Cain. Murder, first murder. Think about that. Just two people on the whole world, and they had to kill one another. They had to fight with one another, and one of them ended up dead. It's just in human nature for us to arrive at conflict and dislikes to a point where we do stupid things. You know, I always like to say that when God created us, he knew what he was doing. He knew what he had done with man when he put in him his natural drives. And the two greatest things in the world that God put in us was, one, the ability to survive. I must survive against all costs, against all opposition. I must survive. I must do anything necessary to survive as a race, not as an individual, as a species, as a race. Because God made it that way. So the number one drive that he put in us was to survive. So if you and I are in a shipwreck and food and rations are all gone, I'm looking at you, and you looking at me, and you know about what's going to happen. You know that I'm going to have to kill you, and I'm going to have to eat you to survive. It's not something that I planned on doing, not something that I wanted to do. It's something that God put in me that I must do, because at all costs, I must survive. The second thing that he put into mankind was that we must reproduce. So that's why the drive in man is so high. That's why, sex drive is the number 2 most important thing in the world, to reproduce, to perpetuate your kind, to establish an abundance of those that look like you. It's critically important that you do that. And so we understand those 2 drives: survive and reappropriate. And that's what we do. Now, God didn't put in us the drive to work, nor did he put in us the drive to be lazy. But he did put those 2 that I mentioned to you. Now, we get a little bit more educated, and we identify Maslow's hierarchy of needs and being food, shelter, et cetera, before you get on to needing a car and fine clothes. But I don't want to get there, because I don't think God put that in us. I think the fact that we didn't have any clothes when we were born, that he didn't make us a suit and have it ready for us. So it didn't matter to him whether we had fine clothes or not. I think that's just a marketing trap that we've all fallen into, that buy things that cost way more than they're worth, that have funny names on it that we can't pronounce, don't know the origin, don't care. You just got caught up in the hype, and now I'm paying $1,000 for some gym shoes. How in the world did that happen? And we're going to continue to have this dialogue coming to you from We Believe Studios. We're broadcasting all over the world in over 139 countries. We have We Believe Radio that's playing and broadcasting all day long, 24/7, bringing you some of the best music in the world. This studio is here for you. So my Facebook friends and my YouTube friends and all of those that are watching all over the world, call us at 601-209-9199. Join this broadcast. Let's build something wonderful. Stay tuned. I'll be back after this commercial.
Socrates Garrett ENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.Dot grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
We're back, and welcome to Socrates Garrett Live. We're broadcasting live all over the world. My friends in Los Angeles, California, I hope that you are doing okay. I checked on Tony Locke just yesterday, and of course he was fortunate that he was not in the vicinity of where all of the fires are out in California. You know, natural disasters are occurring all over the world. Some are beginning to say that this is the beginning of the end, that God is on his way back. that we will not be allowed to mistreat one another and do all of the difficult and dirty things that we do, because time is running out. Now, I don't know. I don't know about when time's going to run out, or whether it's going to run out or not, but I do know this, that we have to treat each other better, that we're going to have to pull together if we're going to maintain a lifestyle. A house divided against itself cannot stand. It's been proven time and time again. When we unite, when we are bound together, we can do marvelous and wonderful things. There are those now that would like to divide us. And so we're in a political season. So we're going to talk about that for a moment. We're in a political season in Jackson, Mississippi. Now, Jackson, we've had some hard times. But you know, I've never been prouder as an African American than I was the day in 1995 when Mayor Harvey Johnson Jr. was elected as the first African American mayor in the great city of Jackson. Boy, my chest was pumped all out. I am a black man, and a black man is running the city. That means that I could run the city one day. And then when I saw at the inauguration that on the stage showed up Maynard Jackson, and Maynard was the mayor of Atlanta, Georgia, that did more things than any other mayor in the world has ever done for black folk and white folk, because when we work together, when we grow together, then everybody benefits. It's just very, very simple equation, but sometimes we let bigotry and racism and hatred get in our way, and so we can't get to the root cause of the problem. And what is the problem in Mississippi? The problem is that we don't have an economy. And we haven't had an economy since slavery was abolished. Oh yeah, before slavery was abolished, Mississippi was one of the richest states in the world. And anyone could be rich if they had free labor. Anyone could do well if they didn't have to pay for anything. That they had folk that were going to pick all the cotton, cut all the cane, shuck all the corn. Anyone could be wealthy under those conditions, and Mississippi enjoyed that. That's why you had these grand, masterful hotels all throughout the South. You go into Memphis, Tennessee, and you see the Peabody Hotel. Well, what did it represent? In Jackson, Mississippi, it was the King Edward's Hotel. What did it represent? It represented the place that the farmers were going to come to celebrate and display their wealth and enjoy the qualities of life, eat the finest food, see the greatest shows, drive the best cars, wear the best shoes and the hats, and tipping your hats and doing all of the things that rich people and successful people do. They had to have somewhere to go, so they built those establishments so that one day they could go there. And yes, it was entertainment as well. The Peabody Hotel, everybody knows that at a certain time of the day that the ducks have to come downstairs. They have to come downstairs in a row. No one gets out of line. No duck gets out of line. You have to march all the way down at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and get in the swimming pool. A ritual. Everybody came to see the ducks march down. Just a form of entertainment. Extravagance. That's all it was. And Mississippi enjoyed all of that. But when slavery ended, all hell broke loose. The black man no longer found himself having to be obedient, having to drop his head when he encountered another man. No longer did he have to cross the street to get out of the way when when white folk were coming down the sidewalk. You know, in Natchez, Mississippi, it was illegal for a black man to have a white wall tire on his car on the front. He just couldn't do it. With all kind of stupid things that were going on that were designed to maintain dominance and superiority over another human being. And it wasn't all about the fact that I don't like you. You see, white folk didn't hate black folks. They just want them to be their slaves. They just wanted them to provide all of the free labor. It wasn't that they hated them, because if they had hated them, then you wouldn't have all of these mulatto babies that you see around here all of the time. You can't have children by folk that you hate. And so it was about the economy, and it was so brutal to maintain my way of life. To maintain my way of life is akin to the survival rule: by all means necessary, at all costs, does not matter. I must enjoy this life to the fullest, to the highest. And that's what they were doing in the South. But after slavery, the black man began to straighten up his back and began to move out and do some things on his own. And he went on out and started to build great things and discover wonderful things and created cities and communities like Black Wall Street. And we just couldn't have that. We just couldn't have a black man thinking and feeling that he was equal to other human beings, when in the Constitution, in the very beginning, it said that he was not a man. So we cannot have this uprising, this in your mind where you think you are equal to me. And you certainly can't start to demonstrate it by building your own hotels, motels, your banks. Can't have it. So just like in Carolina and Greenwood, that we kill up everybody and burn it down. And you know, I was in Memphis, Tennessee for the Martin Luther King holiday last week. And I had an opportunity to visit the Stax Museum. And when I heard the history of the story of the Stax Museum, when in fact the gentleman that started that was put in jail and run out of town right along with Ida B. Wells. Look, I gotta go. It's been a great afternoon. Sometimes when I get to sharing, it just tells me that I need to pull up for a moment, because you can't take much of this, and you can't take it for extended periods of time. Look, keep watching We Believe. We're going to share some things with you that you don't know. Until tomorrow, this is Socrates Garrett, live, saying good night.